Let's talk about attention to detail and ruthless prioritization, two important product management concepts. What is going on, everybody? My name is Alex. Welcome to another video. If this is your first time here, you want to learn about product management, business, finance, how to get into the top tech companies, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Also, make sure to smash the like button. And let's talk about product management. This is a new series where we're talking about product management concepts one at a time, breaking them down, explaining why they're important, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. If there's something you want to see in this program, make sure to leave your comment down below. Let me know what you'd like me to discuss. Today, we're talking about attention to detail and ruthless prioritization. Let's start from attention to detail. In the previous episode, we talked about 10x thinking and focused execution, and we touched a little bit upon this concept of attention to detail and how it can be dangerous for products that haven't yet been launched. Now, on the flip side, attention to detail becomes extremely important as you continue to iterate and make your product better and better at delivering value to the end user or to the customer or the consumer. Whoever is solving whatever problem they have with your solution, your product being your solution, we want to get better and better and better at it. And as the product gets more mature, attention to detail becomes more and more important. Of course, that's just my opinion. If you think attention to detail is extremely important first launch, let me know down in the comments. Happy to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about a few different types of attention to detail. At the very simple stage, there is excessive attention to minor details. That's where you're spending a lot of time lining up your columns and making sure that the proper things are capitalized and nothing is misspelled and everything works ideally on every platform, every device. The animation is smooth and there are no rough edges anywhere in your product. That is great if you're delivering the 10th iteration of the iPhone, but it is a terrible idea when you haven't yet launched the product to market. You don't even know if it does what you want it to do and if users actually need the thing that you're offering. This is probably said very often, but it bears repeating. Don't focus on the details that don't matter. When we talk about attention to detail, it's important to understand what are these details we're talking about. Eventually, as you get to the 40th iteration of your product, you may even want to tighten up that shade of blue. You've actually run experiments of whether blue or green does a better job of conveying the emotion you want to convey or getting users to convert in a particular funnel. And that's okay. That totally makes sense. But you absolutely should not do that earlier in the life cycle of your product. The bigger the company is where you're trying to do this, the more your attention to detail is going to balloon and get multiplied in terms of the effort that's required. Every time you make a change, if you localize this change, it's going to have a huge effect. If every time you make a change in your UX, you have to go through a huge review flow or a legal flow or some sort of other constraints or requirements, imagine how much that's going to actually multiply the effect of your attentiveness to detail. So early on, make sure you stay focused on the details that matter. Speaking of those, what are the details that matter? The details that matter are the ones that directly impact the product that you're trying to get your users to adopt. Ask yourself, what problems are the users solving with my product? What is the motivation behind using this product for this problem? And everything around that answer should be detailed enough. Users should be clear about what the problem is, about what your proposed solution is. There should be clarity in experience, and that's where the attention to detail is important. Another area where it is important is in huge gaps. If you identify that there are huge gaps along the funnel, along the user path, problems that you're not addressing because you're telling yourself, I'm not going to sweat the small stuff, then that's an issue. As an example, if there's a huge gap in your conversion flow and 40% of your users for some reason or another don't see the shopping cart and can't access that, that would be an important detail. And you definitely want to focus on that. You do want your attention on the important details. You always should be looking at the funnel, at the user experience. How does the user interact with your product? What exactly are you providing? How do you know that you've done it? You should always have metrics, and metrics are going to tell you what details you should focus on. And that brings us to prioritization and why you should be ruthless about prioritizing your actions, the actions of your team, the features that you work in, your time, your calendar, and your life. Ruthless prioritization in product means when everybody around you, including senior stakeholders or other team members or even some vocal customers, if they're in the minority, are telling you to do a certain thing or take a certain direction, and that's what a product manager does. The product manager takes all of the incoming requests from all of these dozens and dozens of different stakeholders and then decides what to focus on at any given moment and orients the team around that. And the way you do that is by creating your principles. You should have principles in the way that you live your life. Why do you do what you do? Why do you focus on what you focus on? It's going to be the North Star that's going to allow you to keep moving. So for instance, in your product, if you're focused on delivering an initial version for a particular problem because this product is a solution, then your goal should be on getting that version out. Anything else that distracts you from there should be cut. That's exactly the role of a PM, to take all these inputs and prioritize what's important. Be able to explain why it is important to focus on these things. Your principles in your life should guide the way you make your decisions, the way you spend your time, and the principles for your product, your company, or your team should guide you the way that you make decisions within that. And you can go ahead and write out your principles. Here is what we're about. Here's what I'm about. Here's what I care about. Those principles are going to help you decide whether you want to eat some ice cream or hit the gym, watch Netflix, or improve your product management skills with videos like this. It seems self-evident, but our time will get eaten away and order will fall into chaos if we don't constantly, consciously control this. As a product manager, you're going to have your time full, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for a big company. Your calendar is going to be full with dealing with all of these different aspects of getting the product or the company moving forward. If you're attending meetings, you should know why you're there. If your team members are going to these meetings, you should know why they're there. Prioritize their time. Make sure to let them bow out and tell them they don't need to attend if you don't think that there's any input or any learnings from that there. Make sure, of course, to check in with them before you do that. The same thing with your time. Ask for an agenda for meetings that you're going to. If you don't see an agenda, most likely meetings tend to take the amount of time that are allotted for them. So a 30-minute meeting is going to go 30 minutes. 60-minute meeting is going to go 60 minutes. If you don't have an agenda and you're sitting at a 60-minute meeting, you don't know why you're there, you've just spent an hour of your life moving nothing toward execution, making no progress. Add a few of those hours up, that's going to be a work day. A few work days, work week. And that quickly goes into months and years of your life. You can look behind you and you've accomplished nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had plenty of time where I do non-productive things, and that actually can be very helpful if you structure your life in a way that you allow yourself non-productive time. That's fine, it's very helpful to avoid burnout. But specifically wasting time when you mean to be productive but not being productive, not focusing on the stuff that moves you towards your objective is the biggest reason for failure for products and product managers. You should be the one who protects your team's time, protects your manager's time, protects your organization's time. It is hard to be the one that asks, hey, what's the agenda for this meeting? But believe me, everyone will thank you for it. So at the beginning of the work week, or preferably on Sunday evening, look at what you've got for the week, check out the meetings, and send out emails to the organizers of the meetings where there's no clear agendas. And just ask, hey, can we see the agendas for this to make sure that we understand what we're working on? Thanks very much. And that's usually enough. Sometimes those calendar meetings will just fall right off. Other times you're going to get clarity on objectives and agendas, and you might want to attend and actually move something forward. If you don't get an answer, by the way, it's totally fine not to go to the meeting and just ask the organizer after the meeting, hey, can you give me a recap of what happened? Can you give me the takeaways or any AIs that came out of it, any action items that came out of it? So protect your time, protect your teammates' time. Everyone will be very thankful. Let people out of meetings earlier. If you're running a meeting and you're done in 20 minutes, let people go. If you see that the meeting is wrapping up and you've got 8 minutes on the clock, let people go. Give back time. Everyone's going to be very grateful to you. Another thing about ruthless prioritization, you are going to have to say no often. Don't be mean about it. Learn how to say no in a way that tells the person that is asking you something that you've heard them. You didn't ignore their request. You've heard them. You understand what they're asking, but you have to politely decline because you've got a different set of priorities. You've got a different set of principles. But as often as you say no, and you should say no often, you should ask why even more often. Always ask why. Why should we have this meeting? Why should we add this feature? Why should we remove this feature? Why do we think this customer's feedback is so much more important than everyone else's? Why do we have to change direction just because a senior stakeholder asked us to? What's the actual reason? Try to get to the why behind everything. Why are you working on the project that you're working on? Why are you working in the product and company that you're working on? What does the customer actually want? Why is the customer interacting with your product? Ask why about everything, and you're going to be a more successful product manager. Say no, ask why, prioritize your time, prioritize the features, stay focused on the actual solution that your product offers and the understanding of what the problem is that the user has, and you're going to be a more successful product manager. I'd like to have some conversations about practical product management matters. So if you want to talk about working on your resume or dealing with a particular product feature, or you're thinking of launching a startup, fill out the form below, let's chat, and we'll deal with some real product management topics. We'll build some stuff together. If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button as always, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything, and share with your friends who are interested in product management business. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.